DMF approval.
You've probably heard that used cars are currently in great demand, but then some dealers go ahead with ridiculously low offers for your trade. Well, at Bennett Chevy, we don't care what others tell you. This month only, our offers start at a minimum $8,000. Even if your trade's towed to our lot, we'll give you a minimum $8,000 for any old clunker, rattle trap, or rust bucket towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And if we pay a minimum $8,000 for junk, just imagine how much more Bennett will pay for a nice, clean, good running vehicle. Just grab your title or payment book and get to Bennett Chevy to get the most for your trade. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. Need to get out of a lease early? Bennett is your all brands lease return center. No strings, no obligations. Just the best offers you'll find anywhere. And a non-commissioned sales staff paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
and
Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night with Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We are live on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN, and it is Eagles game day. Yes, tonight is the night Eagles are in action on Thursday Night Football. Of course, you can hear all the action coming up right after me on 97.3 ESPN. We'll give you a full breakdown of the game tonight, as well as what to expect from NFL Week 6. Fantasy football and NFL analyst Andy McNamara joins us coming up at 6:20. We want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of the game? You could chime in. Of course, there's 3 ways to get a hold of the show. Priority messaging through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Yes, the way it works. If you DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, we always get your messages first and foremost. We prioritize you guys on the app. Of course, you can download for free from the Apple App Store or from Google Play. All the coverage you need of Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, as well as high school sports in South Jersey, all over at 97.3 ESPN.com and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We also take text 609-403-0973, and we are live on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN. So let's get into some of the details for tonight's Eagles game. First, those of you who may not have heard the news a little bit earlier today, but it has been confirmed that no Dallas Goedert for tonight. So for just to recap the way it works, the way the NFL protocols work is that for Dallas Goedert's situation, he tested positive on Tuesday. He had to have 2 consecutive negative tests 24 hours apart before tonight's game. For whatever reason, and we're not going to speculate, okay? We're not going to speculate, but it didn't happen. So he's not cleared to go. So the Eagles have elevated Noah Togiai from the practice squad as a COVID-19 replacement. They've also elevated LaRaven Clark as a COVID-19 replacement because remember, Sua Opeta is also on the COVID list. So the Eagles have activated both of those guys for tonight's game. Now, not that it's a huge change, but it is something to keep an eye on because tonight's game is going to be a very interesting statement to be made by 3 people. There are 3 people tonight that you are going to learn a lot about. First of all, you're going to learn something about Nick Sirianni. This is Nick Sirianni's first opportunity to game plan on a short week. And he's coming off one of the worst games he has ever called, which isn't saying much because it was just a few weeks ago he had another horrible game. He has had 2 horrible games in the first 5 weeks of the season. In 2 of their 3 losses, Nick Sirianni has coached absolute trash as a play caller. Now, he learned from his mistake with the Cowboys game. In the Chiefs game, they still lost, but the offense played a lot better. And we know he's capable of being a good play caller because we saw the game plan and how the game played out in Atlanta. So tonight, Sirianni can send a message that he is not out of his depth, that he is not ill-equipped for the job, and that he is learning from his mistakes. The second person to keep an eye on for tonight's game is Jalen Hurts. First Thursday Night Football start for him. Also a short week for him. First time he has done that. And don't forget, Jalen Hurts is a guy who he doesn't feel pressure like some other young quarterbacks do. You look what happened with Zach Wilson when the Jets went to London last week. I mean, that was just sad, right? But Hurts is a better team around him than Zach Wilson does, right? So you would think that Hurts could play better than last week, in part because you expect Sirianni not to put up such a dud as a play caller. But I also believe that Hurts is just the type of personality, type of person he is. He should be able to make it work. Then, on top of all of that, another guy that I'm looking a very close eye on tonight is not his first time, but it's his first opportunity to make a point. That, my friends, is Zach Ertz. No Dallas Goedert tonight is an opportunity for Zach Ertz to go out there and ball out, to show that he is still playing at a high enough level. Now, we've seen moments from him this year in the playing time he has gotten that he can be that guy. And we know he can be that guy. But will he be that guy is the question. He doesn't have anyone out there to take snaps away from him at this point. There is not a point in time where Zach Ertz, except for last year, has been a guy that you couldn't rely on. Tonight's an opportunity for Zach Ertz to say, look, I understand that everyone thinks that Dallas Goedert is the man of the future. I understand that everyone believes that Goddard is a stud. And listen, I don't think anybody denies that Goddard is a stud, but I think Zach Ertz wants to prove out there that he's still a stud too. He's got all those Eagles all-time ranking lists and receptions and receiving touchdowns and yards because he is a guy. He's been the guy. He can be the guy again. So to me, the 3 guys who I'm keeping a very close eye on for tonight's game comes down to Nick Sirianni, his first primetime Thursday football short week. Jalen Hurts, first Thursday night start. Zach Ertz, no Dallas Goedert available. We need to see what this team does. And we're going to hear all the action tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call at 8 p.m. right here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. And of course, NFL Week 6 starts tonight with the Eagles and the Bucs. And FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger starting tonight. Because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either the Bucs or Eagles to win. That means you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Offers like this, as well as same-game parlays, are just one of the many reasons I love betting the NFL on FanDuel, the #1 rated sportsbook app in America. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Just sign up with promo code Hennig this moment, tonight, right now. You don't have a lot of time, only about an hour and change for kickoff. Tampa in Philadelphia for Thursday football. You could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code Hennig to get in on all the action exclusively on FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older to play and present in New Jersey. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Of course, you guys can chime in. Who do you think is going to win tonight and why? What are your keys to the game? Of course, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. We're also live on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN. And the text board is open at 609-403-0973. I'll give you my full breakdown of what I think is going to happen in tonight's game a little bit later in this hour. Travis chimes in over on the YouTube, says, the Eagles need a good run game from Sanders and Gainwell tonight. Travis, the problem with that is that's actually the strength of Tampa. Tampa's defense can stop run. They can't stop the pass. So I hate to disappoint you, Travis, but I think the problem is that Sirianni knows that Tampa's weakness is not the run game. Yes, you need to run the ball to keep them honest, but I need Gainwell and Sanders to step up more than the run game. I need Gainwell to do what he did for 2 weeks this year. He had 2 weeks where he was a phenomenal stud as a receiver. I need the Miles Sanders from 2 years ago where he had over 500 receiving yards, basically, as a rookie. I need those guys to step up in the receiving game because you're without Dallas Goedert. You know that the Bucs secondary is completely trashed. So you need everyone to step up. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how much running you can do against this team. You want to run to keep them honest, but I don't know how many yards you can get off of them. Now, you don't want to see 3 rushes like you saw in the Cowboys game in that disaster, but you need more. And as Jeff chimes in as well, he says, I want Nick Sirianni to call the game of his life. Hey, Jeff, he better. Sirianni better call the game of his life. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying it to be honest. Sirianni needs to get his head out of the sand. He's an ostrich sometimes. Some of the plays that he calls, I have to rewind it when I watch the game. And I'm like, did I just see that? Why did you call that? In what world did you think that was going to work? Sirianni's got to do better, man. And I don't mean him saying it in a press conference. I mean Sirianni actually has to be better. The dude's obsessed with screens. Bubble screens. End around screens. Motion screen. It's like, okay, dude, we get it. You like screenplays. You got to give me more than that. You have a quarterback who can do a lot of different things. Let him do it. Stop asking him to save your rear because you can't call a clean game. All right, we'll dig deeper into NFL Week 6, Eagles and Bucs, Thursday football, and more. Andy McNamara from Sportsnet next, right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
He scored!
Flyers open the 2021 season hosting the Vancouver Canucks.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
It's game time. Football season is in full swing, and you can catch all the NFL action at the FanDuel Sportsbook in Bally's Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City. It's time to get in on all the games you love. Experience sports betting done right with live streaming games, food and beverage, self-service betting kiosks, and more. Get your game face on and score big this weekend when you bet at FanDuel Sportsbook in Bally's off the boardwalk, Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night at 97.3 ESPN FM. Your home for Eagles football in South Jersey. Eagles versus Bucs tonight. You hear all the action on 97.3 ESPN. To dig deeper into the game, as well as NFL Week 6 is upon us. Andy McNamara from Sportsnet joins us as does each and every week here on Thursdays on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And you know what? We got to start with the game tonight because obviously there's two things people keep in mind. Number one, a lot of people have people going tonight. A lot of people have, Brady, Hurts, Evans, Godwin, Brown, Smith, maybe even Zach Ertz for some people who are in these tight end desperate situations. Is there a guy going tonight that makes you salivate the most?
Oh, just overall out of that list, well, you're right. There's so many possibilities, right? I think for an under-the-radar one, and maybe salivate's the wrong word, but one that I think is going to surprise fantasy-wise is Zach Ertz. I think we see a reemergence tonight with Goddard out. We saw him starting to flash over the last couple of weeks fantasy-wise. Consecutive double-digit fantasy points. That was coming in, right? So now you get more opportunities. We have to remember as well that this Buccaneers defense has given up the fewest fantasy points to running backs. However, they have given up the second most fantasy points to receivers. So I think that naturally lines up very well for a Devonta Smith and a Zach Ertz in this ball club. And of course, hey, Jalen Hurts, no matter what the situation, is always going to scramble around for a few as well.
What do you think is more likely to happen tonight? That Nick Sirianni calls a better game than Sunday and allows the Eagles offense to actually score, or that Tom Brady's hand is actually worse than he's letting on?
You know what? Whatever a potion or lotion or concoction or something that Tom Brady does to keep himself Benjamin buttoning it and looking younger, he's probably shot it into his hand. Avocado ice cream into his hand to feel better. The dude is 44 and he just came off of 5 touchdowns, 411 yards. I'm not doubting Tom Brady. I'm not doubting him, Josh. No, I can't. And I won't. I think he'll be just fine. I think he'll sling it. He'll figure it out. And it'll just be, I hope, because Thursday nighters can be weird, as we know, right? You can have odd matchups one way or another when it's not necessarily on the short week what you would expect off of a normal week. I just hope we are in for a fun offensive display. Like none of this 13-10 crap. I want 30 plus points each and let's air this thing out.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, come on, it's a Thursday night game. They're not that great. They're typically sloppy, blah, blah, blah. So, do you think this will actually change things?
I do. I think with the over-under set at 52.5, Buccaneers averaging on the year just about 34 points, if I'm not mistaken. And the Eagles in that young offense are averaging around 23, right? But they've hit the 30-point or more mark twice. So I believe that these offenses are good enough to make it happen no matter what day of the week it is. And I also believe that these defenses can both be had on any day of the week, which means those set offenses can jump in and make an impact. I just think it's going to be a bad night for running backs. Just if you have your fantasy running backs here, I would try to avoid this situation, especially if one is named Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell.
Andy McNamara joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Follow him on Twitter at AndyMC81 for all of your fantasy football, fantasy sports, as well as NFL analysis. And also you can check out his picture as he's auditioning for the next GM of WWE Raw in that picture. Had to throw that in there. I mean, every time I see that picture, I expect you to walk out with like Paul Heyman or something, changing a match at like the main event or something.
Yeah, there's like, hold on a minute. There's a stipulation.
This is now a three-way match, and it's no rules barred, And the special guest referee.
It's Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I saw. So I got that picture sent to me. It was the event we had in Las Vegas for my UFF sports stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like, I saw it, and Josh, I was like, you know what? It's not too often that I actually think I look like actually pretty good in the picture. So damn it, it's going up on the profile. The first thing someone mentioned to me, they were like, swipe right. I'm like, yeah. That's all I got. That's it.
Hey, it's something. It's something. All right, let's get to some other fantasy sports stuff. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of concerns this week when it comes to running backs. Obviously, situation in Chicago got really wonky because Williams got just put on the COVID list. We know that, no Clyde Edwards-Helaire down in Kansas City. I hear the ghost of Myles Gaskin creeping up out in the universe out there right now because people are just desperate for running backs. Chris Carson, he may or may not go on Sunday, but the Steelers are not a good matchup anyway for running backs this year. So what do the people who have running back needs do right now? Yeah,
this was the toughest part of the week, Josh, because in any case, even if health is not so much of a factor, true RB1s who are not in a committee or of a high quality are they're in limited demand. Or limited supply, I should say, when it comes to fantasy football. So now we throw in all these extras. Let's not forget Saquon Barkley, ankle issue. So Devontae Booker and Darrell Williams were the two hottest waiver wire ads this week. I have my Tuesday article every Tuesday on sportsnet.ca. We pumped those guys specifically. And I like out of the two, Darrell Williams better because when you look at how they've tried to use the running game the last couple of weeks with Edwards-Helaire getting the 100-plus yard mark, I think there might be an opportunity for Williams. And it's just a better overall offensive team, of course, than the Giants, who they're just not a good team. They're just not. So you put in Devontae Booker, who I actually don't mind if it's a PPR format for your fantasy team because he got a passing and rushing touchdown last week. He can catch, you can keep him on the field, and he can be that sort of spot guy to help get you through. But we also are probably going to have like Mike Glennon at quarterback and that offensive line. Oof. Like that's no good. We don't want that, but this is where we're at. And that Damian Williams thing you mentioned going on the COVID list is a surprise. Well, now the Bears are down to sixth-round rookie Khalil Herbert. Well, what the heck do we expect out of him? I'd be lying if I could tell you, Josh. Like, I guess if he's there, give him a shot.
And by the way, on top of all this, not to bring it too close to home, but both Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were DMPs today. Neither one of them practiced. So for a lot of people, those are your RB1s. Yes. That's the RB. Both of those guys are RB1s this year. And if either one of them misses, oh man, I mean, people are going to get desperate, man. People are going to start trying to call each other, making weird trades.
Now, the good news I can say, you guys know I got my Cleveland connections on the ground, on foot. And what I'm hearing is that the Hunt and Chubb inactivity at practice is more maintenance. Are they banged up? Yes. It's more soreness, maintenance. We've seen this especially out of the Hunt side. They are, as of today, as of this broadcast, are expected to play fully. So concerning that you see it up there, but for Sunday should not be a problem, as I'm told right now.
All right, a couple other guys to get to. Dalvin Cook was a full participant at practice, but interestingly enough, the guy who was a DMP was Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So for fantasy owners out there, there's people who are rejoicing right now because of Dalvin Cook. There's a lot of people who are looking at Justin Jefferson and maybe Kirk Cousins, because maybe you're streaming a quarterback this week because they're not bye weeks, and you're saying, I was hoping Jefferson might be available. Now he might not be out there.
Yeah, and now we're looking at, of course, Adam Thielen as the obvious one, but what about KJ Osborne, who's gone into hibernation after a couple of really hot weeks? If Jefferson is out, does Osborne come back, or do they continue to spread the ball around, Conklin at tight end, and just have a little bit of a mess of it, or really try to focus on Cook, who at this point, even if he's 100, we know that ankle is not going to be proper for most of the season. We just know that. So how hard do you want to ride Dalvin Cook in week 6? That's going to be the question. So Adam Thielen, the obvious play there. The next one up, I would say KJ Osborne makes the most sense to me based on that. It's not speculation that he could do it. We've seen him do it this season.
Raiders, obviously, it's been a messy week.
Yeah.
But now they're in Denver, and Denver can play defense. Is this just a straight up stay away from the Raiders week in fantasy?
I feel if you can, yes. I also am getting the vibe, though, Josh, that this could be, I don't think there's going to be a middle for the Raiders this week. I think this could go one of two ways. Either it's rally the troops, us against the world, coaches out, everything that's going on, and the Raiders locker room rallies together and just comes out blazing. Or the total opposite, and all the distractions, and they just lay a complete egg. I don't see this going either way. Now, the only exception to the rule is if you have Darren Waller, you're playing Darren Waller, no matter what. So don't get cute on your fantasy team if Darren Waller in the situation. You don't have a choice. You're playing Darren Waller. Everybody else, though, I'd say if you can, try to stay away. And really, like outside of Waller, we talked up Hunter Renfrow, and he's been great as like a flex sort of streaming play, cheaper play on DraftKings. He's been good, but there's nobody else that really is the wow, I gotta be starting this guy 100%. Only Darren Waller. So, you can stay clear.
Listen, you and I were talking over the weekend. I put Hunter Renfrow into my lineup this past week, and after the Gruden stuff, honestly, I threw Renfrow back on the bench and I put Emmanuel Sanders in the lineup. I'm at a point where, and I know part of it is matchup too. I mean, the difference between the Broncos defense and the Titans defense, obviously, huge difference. But at the same time, I'm very suspicious of the Raiders situation right now because, and I don't want to get the whole John Gruden thing here, but let's be realistic. John Gruden was an okay coach. Now he's not there. I mean, do you really trust the Raiders offense, as you said, aside from Waller, or any offense when they lose their play caller in the middle of the season?
Right. And what the special teams coach is taking over.
Yeah. And that guy is not impressing me at all. No.
And so
that guy looks like he belongs in a movie more than an NFL sideline.
Yeah. That's a great, I didn't think of it like that. That's a great point. Yeah. So to your point there, Josh, when it comes to the play calling, okay, there's the overall coaching side, but then the play calling side, can you trust anybody? We're going to get our first look at it. But again, based on match, now if they were playing the Jets or the Jags, it'd be like, okay, there's some wiggle room. The Broncos defense can snuff you out straight up. So that's where I would try to avoid. But more importantly for us fantasy owners and managers, try to just watch the flow of the game. And like you said, Josh, like how's that play call? How does it look? So when they do face maybe an easier opponent, can we trust it? Does it make sense? Or what are we seeing? Is there something new? Is Brian Edwards all of a sudden getting 5 more targets a game? Keep an eye on that.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Andy McNamara joining us here as he does each week on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at AndyMC81 on Twitter for all your fantasy sports and NFL analysis over there with Sportsnet. Another thing I'm looking out for is what's going on with the Ravens running backs. Like, I don't know I thought it was Tyson Williams.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden Le'Veon Bell got called up. He was barely used. Now I got these randos telling me that people should go pick up Latavius Murray this week.
No.
And I'm just like, what? Why are we? Who's the person who's pushing you got to pick a Ravens running back narrative? Like, to me, just don't.
Josh, listeners, listen to cousin Andy here. All right. Nobody, none of them. And Josh, we've been saying this. I've been saying this on your program since before the season started. Do not trust your fantasy team to a Ravens running back. Don't do it. It's a fool's errand. Don't do it because you're going to be guessing. You're right. You just labeled all the guys. Oh, Tyson Williams, you're going to be chasing your tail. Could Latavius Murray pop out, get you 2 touchdowns this week? Sure. An anvil could fall on my head walking down the street too. Anything can happen. I don't expect it to because the main running back on the Ravens is their quarterback. It all runs through Lamar Jackson. All of it. Everybody else is just change of pace. It is not anything you can track. And Harbaugh told us last year, and it carried over to this year. He told us, he said it's going to be 3-4 guys rotating in at running back. You can't rely on any of them. And if you do, you're honestly just guessing.
Couple more things I want to ask you about before I let you go, Andy. Colts running back. That's another confusing situation. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines. I don't even know what the roles are anymore. I'm totally confused. I don't think anybody knows what to do in that situation because Jonathan Taylor caught a touchdown last week. He didn't run for a touchdown. Meanwhile, Naheem Hines in clutch situations is running the ball. Like, I almost feel like Frank Reich is just like throwing curveballs at this point.
Yeah, the roles are reversed. Hines has been very disappointing after a couple of really good starts, right? And it looked like with Marlon Mack wanting a trade, it's like, okay, now we're down to 2 and we can start figuring out this game flow. Not so. And now it becomes where I think out of the 2, you really, and I, on one of my teams, I picked up Naheem Hines a few weeks ago. So I got one good week out of him. He's firmly planted on my bench. I'm not quite ready to cut bait with him yet, but if somebody caught my eye that I want to, I would. I feel out of the 2, you really just got to focus on Jonathan Taylor at this point and just hope that Hines isn't the one that jumps out this week and really gets a big day. So I think Taylor you do there. I also really I love this stack, Josh. I wrote about this in the Sportsnet article on Tuesday. Carson Wentz, Michael Pittman, DraftKings stack. Wentz is the 16th most expensive quarterback on the DraftKings slate. And the guy just had his first 400-yard game, right? And so if those ankles, and that's a big if, everything else, if those ankles can stay intact, why not Carson Wentz as a streaming option? Not somebody I'm saying put in your starting lineup, but be proactive to your bye weeks. They're starting this week. So get Wentz on your bench. There's that guy you're never going to use. Dump him, get Wentz on your bench. Then if he balls out, you can trade him, or at the very least, you can hold him and use him as your bye week guy. I'm very big about being proactive and not waiting to the week of your quarterback goes on by to plan. So Wentz is something you can get for cheap. He's available in like 75% of Yahoo leagues. So get him while he's healthy.
We got a question from a folk watching over on YouTube and Twitter. Daniel wants to know, Kenneth Gainwell or Rondell Moore to half PPR, Andy?
Yeah, I'd have to go Rondell Moore. I like Gainwell, the player. We've talked about it. I like the draft pick. I love the talent. It's a terrible matchup tonight. It's a terrible matchup. You just don't want any part of that Buccaneers run defense. I would say you go with Moore.
I told you this earlier in this year. What I did was I stashed Gainwell on my bench because if one of those weeks comes up that somebody's on a bye week or there's multiple guys on a bye week, you'd rather have Gainwell in there maybe as a flex or an RB2 than some of your other options. And by the way, we didn't mention this earlier because we talked a lot about running backs here. Darrell Williams was available in a lot of fantasy leagues still starting this morning. He is going up in terms of ownership in ESPN fantasy leagues, 55% since this morning.
Whoa.
But he's still only owned in 63% of leagues. So that means that he had this huge jump today, but he's still available in 37% of leagues. So, folks, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Like, I believe Tuesday, I think the number was like 8% ownership or something. Like, it was ridiculous. And listen, I don't blame people. He wasn't being used, But now, get those guys in, even if you're not in running back trouble. And most people could always use another running back. But even if you can't, pick up a guy like that, because with CEH on the IR, if Williams jumps and he pops this week, then even if you don't need running back help, you can try to sell high, get that deal done. Or if you do need running back help, you have a good spot yourself.
He's Andy McNamara. Give him a follow on Twitter at AndyMC81 for your fantasy sports and NFL analysis. Andy, great stuff today. Good seeing you.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the game. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. That's the Browns fan.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Woo! See you, buddy.
See you, Andy. Andy McNamara joined us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get more of your thoughts and comments on the other side. Of course, we are live on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN. DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And, of course, text board 609-403-0973. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night.
This is the
You've probably heard the used cars are currently in great demand, but then some dealers go ahead with ridiculously low offers for your trade. Well, at Bennett Chevy, we don't care what others tell you. This month only, our offers start at a minimum $8,000. Even if your trade's towed to our lot, we'll give you a minimum $8,000 for any old clunker, rattle trap, or rust bucket towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And if we pay a minimum $8,000 for junk, just imagine how much more Bennett will pay for a nice, clean, good running vehicle. Just grab your title or payment book and get to Bennett Chevy to get the most for your trade. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. Need to get out of a lease early? Bennett is your all brands lease return center. No strings, no obligations. Just the best offers you'll find anywhere. And a non-commissioned sales staff paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. Tonight, it's week 6 of the 2021 season with the Eagles hosting the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And with zeros on the clock, the Eagles have beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Pre-game coverage begins at 7. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 8:20. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
With online and mobile banking, managing your accounts has never been easier, right from the comfort of your own living room or even the sidelines at your son's Little League game. In fact, you'll have access to your accounts anytime from just about anywhere.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Of course, each Friday on Football Fridays, we give you a full rundown of my picks for the weekend. I'll give you my pick for the Eagles game tonight in just a moment, as well as getting your guys' messages in just a moment. 609-403-0973 is the text board. I got a message here as well from Hal over on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And with all messages. Don't forget about my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action in style this football season at the state-of-the-art FanDuel Sportsbook just off the boardwalk at Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And, of course, our fantasy football conversation with Andy McNamara was brought to you by Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage. Your best play to refinance today. That's Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage. Brings you Thursday's fantasy football talk with Andy McNamara from Sportsnet right here on 97.3 ESPN. Over on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City, Hal says, Josh, you're wrong. Derek Carr is going to take over the Raiders offense. Listen, Hal, I like Derek Carr. I'm a fan of Derek Carr, honestly. If he takes over, I will be thrilled. I will be very happy, Hal, from Stafford Township, Hal. But Hal, I got to see it first, because Derek Carr is not an elite quarterback. He's not the kind of quarterback that transcends a franchise. Until I see him be that guy, he is still dependent on the environment around him. And I just don't think the environment around him is ideal right now. So unless he goes into Denver and puts up 35 points or 28 and has a huge game on Sunday, I got to wait and see with Derek Carr. Croce chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Eagles need to steal this game. A race that San Francisco lost. Sirianni needs to call a good game plan. Nothing cute. I hope he remembers to have tight ends. The middle of the field wins the game, or at least makes it a game. That's from Croce. Yeah, Croce, and I agree with you. Listen, they got to run the ball. They got to keep them respectable. I'll be honest with you guys. I can't convince myself to pick the Eagles tonight. I'm going Tampa 30, Eagles 24. Yes, that covers the spread. So far this year, the only game I've gotten wrong was the San Francisco game. So I don't want to be right, but I think the Eagles go down today. I think Brady, he has a great game today. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow. Eagles next.
Our spotted